Malaysia is a country in Southeast Asia, divided into two parts, East and West. The capital of West Malaysia is Kuala Lumpur, located on the Malay Peninsula, and East Malaysia is located in the northern part of the island of Borneo. According to those who have traveled to this country, Malaysia is a perfect combination of the old and new worlds. There is no number 4 in this country, and instead they use the letters A3. The Strait of Malacca in Malaysia is one of the busiest shipping routes in the world, and almost 40% of world trade is carried out through this strait. Malaysia is full of religious conflicts. The strangest law in this country is that if its people change their religion, they may be killed. What kind of country is Malaysia? A country with thousands of traditions and differences. For a better understanding, please stay with us until the end of the video. Before watching this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and press the bell button. Support us by liking this video and continue to follow the Secret Box channel. If we look at the demographic structure of Malaysia, we see that Malaysia is one of the fastest growing Asian countries. The population of Malaysia is about 33 million people. 80% of the country's population lives in the eastern part of the country and 20% in the western part of the country. Malaysia has a diverse structure. The people of this country are generally influenced by European culture and have Malay and Chinese culture. Due to its location and natural resources, Malaysia has always been one of the countries that many governments have tried to occupy throughout history, and this has happened many times. The Portuguese ruled Malaysia for about a century and a half, then the Dutch, and finally the British ruled this land. That is, the people of Malaysia are divided into two groups. 69% of the population is Malay, with the indigenous people making up 22%, Chinese 7%, and Indians, and the remaining percentage is made up of other minorities. 63% of the country's population is Muslim, 19% Buddhist, 9% Christian, 6% Hindu, and the remaining percentage is from followers of other religions. If we look at daily life in Malaysia, we see that the official language of the country is Malay. The majority of the people, including people in rural areas, can speak English fluently. The reason is that Malaysia was a British colony for a long time, and Malaysians are generally educated people. The employment rate of women in this country is 52%. 60% of university students are women. Malaysia is one of the countries that accepts the most students from abroad. The Malaysian currency is the ringgit, and according to today's exchange rate, $1 is equivalent to 4.5 Malaysian ringgits. The minimum wage is 1,200 ringgit, which is about $270. Generally, the average salary in Malaysia is 3,000 ringgit. Islam is the official religion of Malaysia. Sharia law is enforced in this country. It seems that the country is divided not only geographically, but also in every way. Malaysia where Muslims live, and Malaysia where non-Muslims live. Sharia law is enforced only for Muslims. According to the Constitution, all people of Malay descent, which is about 55% of the population, must be Muslims. There is a regular court and a Sharia court to hear personal and family cases and religious and moral accusations of Malays. The Sharia system in Malaysia is completely different than in Saudi Arabia. Although Sharia law is enforced in Malaysia, because this is a multi-ethnic country, Indians and Chinese, that is, people with different ethnic backgrounds, dress and live as they please. For example, drinking alcohol is forbidden for Muslims.
If the owner of a hotel is Malay, it means that he is Muslim, and alcohol is not allowed in the hotel. But in a hotel owned by Indians and Chinese, alcohol is allowed. That is why Malaysia has places like nightclubs and bars. Being drunk in a public place is a fine of 20 ringgit or a 20-day prison sentence. In short, the penalties and laws that apply to Muslims are different. According to the law, a Malay person cannot change his religion. A person born into a Muslim family is considered a Muslim and remains a Muslim for the rest of his life. The only way to change religion is to go to the Sharia courts, but these appeals are generally not properly handled. In the states of Kelantan and Trans, where Sharia law is more strictly enforced, converting a Muslim is punishable by death. Unlike in the Middle East, where Sharia law is enforced, in Malaysia, women are free to wear the hijab, but Malay women usually prefer to wear it for reasons such as social and cultural pressure. It is quite normal to see a headscarf on the head of little girls in Malaysia. Non-Muslim girls are not required to do so. Generally, every university has specific dress codes. Men should not wear shorts or short-sleeved shirts, and women should not wear short-sleeved shirts, shorts, or skirts above the knee. Malays must fast during Ramadan. If they do not do so, they are fined. The penalty for not fasting can be up to a year in prison. There are laws that say that if a Muslim person does not attend Friday prayers for 3 consecutive weeks, he will be sentenced to 6 months in prison. There is a police force in this country called the religious police. These police are responsible for identifying people who are not fasting or restaurants that serve Muslims before breaking the fast. Those who go to Malaysia say that it is very easy to understand that the locals do not show affection to each other in public and are not used to such behavior. At train or bus stations, you can see signs that indicate that hugging and kissing in public is prohibited. Malaysia has strict censorship laws. To date, many films and songs have been banned in this country. For example, a Spanish song that had become popular in recent years was banned from radio and television because of its lyrics. Another interesting point is that until 2021, that is for 35 years, non-Muslims in Malaysia did not have the right to use the word God. Malaysia is the only country that has implemented such a law so far. The punishment for crimes such as murder, smuggling, drug use, and treason is the death penalty. There are also social and economic differences between ethnic groups. Although the Chinese are the wealthiest business owners in Malaysia, they are considered second-class citizens. Malaysian Indians are at the bottom. Inter-ethnic marriages are not common in Malaysia. In fact, the main reason for this is that the Malaysian government does not recognize marriages between Muslims and non-Muslims unless the non-Muslim converts to Islam. Because Malaysia has Sharia law, polygamy is also common in this country. If the court approves, a man can marry 4 wives, but the number of wives is less than 2%. A child whose father is Malay and whose mother is of another race enjoys the rights set for native putras, but in the opposite case, that is, the child whose mother is Malay and whose father is of another race, cannot enjoy these rights. What kind of people are the Malaysians in general? Tourists who have visited Malaysia say that the people of this country are often polite, helpful, and friendly. They have been able to live together in peace and harmony for many years in a multicultural structure. In general, the ethnic groups of Malaysia respect each other's sacred places and values. Mosques, churches, Buddhist, and Hindu temples have been built side by side in this country. Islamic holidays, Chinese New Year, and Indian holidays are celebrated in this country, and the government has declared all these holidays and New Year as official holidays. Although holidays vary in different states, Malaysia is one of the countries with the most holidays. Malaysians are said to be unpunctual and do not show up on time for appointments. If the appointment is at 12 o'clock, they usually show up half an hour late. Malaysians love to eat, and there are stalls and places on the streets that offer cheap food. Malaysians consume a lot of sugar and often fry their food. 50% of Malaysians are obese or overweight. Malaysia is very famous for its food culture, especially Asians who come to this country just to taste the local Malaysian cuisine. The famous fruit of the region is durian, which is considered sacred, but it has a very bad and annoying smell. If you leave this fruit in a closed place, the bad smell will not go away for a few days. That is why taking this fruit to public places is not recommended or forbidden. In Malaysia, eating with your hands is common. For example, nasi lemak, which is a famous dish, is eaten with your hands. Pork and beef are rarely sold in Malaysia. Malaysians generally eat fish and chicken, and they use their right hand when eating, giving something to someone, or receiving something from someone. They do not enter the house with shoes. They even take off their shoes in some shops, offices, and workplaces. Pointing at something with the index finger is not recommended.
If someone asks them for the address of a place, they either use their thumb or show the direction with their hand or fist. In a country where a quarter of the population is Chinese, some elevators do not have a key for the fourth floor. The reason is that in Chinese, the pronunciation of the word for is similar to the pronunciation of the word death. Therefore, there is generally either no key for the fourth floor or there is a key like an ace for this floor. In Malaysia, like other former British colonies, cars are right-hand drive and move on the left. Malaysians do not honk when they are in traffic. It is considered rude to honk. Tourists who have visited Malaysia say that Malaysians are very nervous in traffic, do not give way to pedestrians, and drive badly. One of the recurring scenes in Malaysia is seeing drivers whose bumpers have collided and are standing on the side of the road arguing with each other. When people cross the street, they hold their cars with their hands and cross. The reason is that there are no traffic lights or pedestrian crossings. Those who visit Malaysia say that Malaysia is a beautiful blend of the past and the present. On one hand, there are large and developed cities in this country, and on the other hand, there are small and charming villages in Malaysia, beautiful beaches, forests, and many natural wonders. The capital of this country is Kuala Lumpur. It has made significant progress in the last few years. With its multicultural structure, historical and natural beauty, large skyscrapers, and many shopping malls, this city has become one of the favorite cities for tourists. Kuala Lumpur is currently the 6th most visited city in the world. This city has a first-class standard of living and is known as a metropolis in the world. The most important advantage of living in Kuala Lumpur is that, in addition to having standards that are competitive with countries such as Hong Kong, Singapore, and Japan, it is also a cheaper city than the capitals of these countries. This is one of the most important business centers in Asia. Malaysia is the 15th most visited country in the world with 26 million tourists and the second most visited country in Southeast Asia after Thailand. Every year, the equivalent of the population of Malaysia visits this country. The country is one of the main tourist destinations due to its proximity to most Asian countries and cheap transportation. The most important symbol of Malaysia is the Petronas Twin Towers, with a height of 452 meters, which are currently the tallest twin towers in the world. These towers were considered the tallest structures in the world until 2004. One of the main tourist attractions in Malaysia is the Batu Caves, which Hindus consider this temple and the largest cave in the world, which is full of monkeys, as a religious place. Malaysia is a country of caves, and every year many people from all over the world come to Malaysia to explore the caves of this country. Clearwater is a series of interconnected caves and one of the largest caves in the world. This cave is the 9th longest cave in the world, with a length of approximately 237 kilometers. 70% of Malaysia's land is covered by forests. For this reason, this country is one of the countries with the most biodiversity in the world. Here, Taman Nagara is one of the oldest rainforests in the world, about 3 times older than the Amazon rainforest and dating back 130 million years. More than 14,500 plant species, more than 600 bird species, and more than 200 mammals live in this forest. This country attracts many tourists because of its wildlife. The largest population of black leopards lives in this country. The national animal of this country is the Malaysian tiger.
This country has one of the richest marine life habitats. Malaysia is one of the best places in the world for diving, with divers from all over the world coming to Sepidan Island, which is 600 meters deep and has more than 3,000 species of fish and coral, to see the marine life here up close. Malaysia is very close to the equator, so the country has warm weather for 365 days a year.
Throughout the year, the temperature does not fall below 20 degrees Celsius and does not rise above 40 degrees Celsius. Malaysia has a tropical climate, and it rains a lot in this country. That is why Malaysians always carry a small umbrella with them when they go out, because even if the meteorological agency says it will not rain, there is no guarantee that it will not rain today. Sometimes it rains heavily for 5 minutes, and then the sun comes out immediately during the monsoon season when you never know when it will rain. Just a few minutes of rain is enough to get you completely soaked. Walking is not very common in Malaysia because it rains unexpectedly and the weather is very hot, so Malaysians do not have a culture of walking anywhere. So far, Malaysia has only had snow twice, once in 1975, once in 1993. The depth of snow measured at Mount Kinabalu was only 10 millimeters. Throughout the year, the temperature at the top of the mountain can reach 2 degrees Celsius below zero, and people call the layers of ice that form on the mountain snow. No snowfall has been recorded in the city so far. The Malaysian passport is the 4th most powerful passport in Asia and the 13th most powerful passport in the world. Malaysian passports state that this passport allows travel to all countries except Israel. Another interesting thing is that West Malaysians must obtain a residence permit from the immigration department if they want to stay in East Malaysia for less than 90 days, and they must present their passport if they want to stay for more than 90 days. This is because the states of Sabah and Sarawak, which make up East Malaysia, have different immigration laws, and West Malaysians, citizens, must have a work permit to work in East Malaysia, and like foreigners, they do not have the right to work in Sabah and Sarawak without a permit. Despite all this, East Malaysians can enter West Malaysia without restrictions and work there by simply presenting their identity card. If we look at the government of this country, we see that Malaysia is a federal government governed by a parliamentary constitutional monarchy system. In fact, Malaysia has a multi-party structure, but for 60 years since its independence, that is, until 2018, it was governed by a single party. Malaysia is divided into 13 states and 3 federal territories. Although Malaysia is the only federal country in Southeast Asia, it is one of the few countries in the world that is governed by a monarchy. Of course, the situation is different because Malaysia has 9 sultans, and each of the western states has its own sultan, while the rest have governors. Malaysia ranks 11th in automotive design and engineering. The Malaysian people also have a national car called Proton. The country is rich in natural resources and is the first country to produce electric tools in the world, supplying about 70% of the world's electric power alone. Malaysia supplies more than 80% of its own oil. The oil extracted in the country is exported due to its high quality. The country is known for producing electronics, palm oil, oil and gas, and rubber. One of Malaysia's greatest strengths is its multicultural structure. This is a great achievement for the Malaysian people who have been able to live peacefully together throughout history despite the existence of religious and ethnic groups. Of course, not everything is perfect in this country, but compared to other places in the world, Malaysia is a clear example of the collective life of different ethnic groups despite their differences. Thank you very much for staying with us until the end of this video. If you like these sample videos, be sure to like the video and share it with your friends, and be sure to write your comments in the comment section.